it's me, Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. How are you this Saturday? Hopefully, given that this is not live, you've got a good day. We're supposed to have a dry but very windy day, which could be interesting because we've got the village litter pick this weekend. So wind, not great, but if it's dry, that would be perfect. We do this twice a year, we're proud of our village, so we like it to look at its best. Unfortunately, some people who drive through our village are less concerned about how it looks, shall we say. So, yeah, twice a year we just go out and clear it up. So, never mind about that. Let's have a look at what we're making today. Let me just flip down. So, this is the card we're going to make. It uses the Doggone Friendly stamp set, which is carrying over to the new annual catalogue. Happy days. It's not why I'm using it today, but it is carrying over, thankfully. So this is the card, and then the envelope just has the flap with some of the dogs on. So let me show you how to make it. We're using watercolour pencils and colour lifter to move the ink around. It's relatively straightforward. I will then let you decide which order the next two versions should be in, because there's a debate going on in my head. Now I have already stamped this because using watercolour pencils you can end up, the memento may just drag a little. So I've done one. That's if it's still wet. So I've done one ready, but I am going to show you how to do it. So this is my memento ink pad, because for those of you who have watched me for any time, you will know that in the last few weeks I have filled an uninked craft whisper white, do we call it whisper white? Whatever it's called, the uninked ink pad with memento ink, and it's brilliant. White pigment ink we call it, fair enough. It's a game changer, such a game changer. Right, I have stuck some low tack tape down one side of my note card. I want to make sure that I get this animal in it. Ooh. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out that's the way. Because that's the one I'm featuring. In my mind, it's a German Shepherd. Whether it is, I don't honestly know, but it's the one that I'm featuring in all of my projects. So I am just going to pop my card onto my inked stamp. It's not totally straight, but hey, I don't think it matters. And I'm just going to rub over the back of it. You can take a bone folder or your blocks. In fact, let's grab a block. So you can just get your block and make sure that you've got lots of lovely pressure on the back of your card. And you pull it up, and there is your beautifully stamped, I'm as surprised as anyone, card. Then this comes off, and we're going to put that onto an envelope because we need to do a similar thing for the envelope. So I'm just going to pop it at the top of the front of my envelope, and ink up my stamp again. And I only have to do the bottom bit, but I do want to make sure that I have done all of the bottom bit. There we go. So we need to make sure that our animals are going to be the right way up. Ask me how I know. And that is, oh no, we're back. We froze. I hope the recording didn't freeze. Anyway, this is the one I did first. Upside down animals. Hey ho. So I'm putting this one down so I know it's the right way up. So you want your card, your envelope at the top, as it were, and your flap at the bottom, but you don't actually want to put your envelope down. I've put the low tack tape there just to be on the safe side, and you can actually see when you've got everything stamped, because the ink will begin to come through the envelope like that. Pretty! So I will clean that up later, and I just leave it in its stamp case. If you've got a stamp positioning tool, then go for it. It will be a lot easier. Ooh, now which one did I do first? That's the one I've just done, I think. Yes, this is the one I did earlier. Now, I have got the new set of watercolour pencil selection 1, and it's the new set because it's got pecan pie in it, and instead of having Pacific Point, it's got a generic blue. Hey. Now, I did this, then I coloured the other... let's take that low tack tape off. It's low tack, it's not, if you leave it on too long it stays forever. I went off and then coloured the others without actually remembering what colour I'd done these. That's not terribly important, but it will become more obvious as we go through. So I'm just going to leave that there so I know what I'm doing. So I've got my pecan pie, and most of my Alsatian is going to be pecan pie. So I'm just... do try and avoid eyes, because eyes are white, they are not brown normally, or the white of the eye is white. So let's try and keep the white of the eye white. So most of my Alsatian will be pecan pie colour, but not all of it. Oh, that's what I need. I've just realised I've gone over his collar. That's better. I mean, it doesn't matter too much because on this version his collar is red and pecan pie is a red base, so it's not the end of the world. Now, the thing I did find when I was colouring one of the future versions that I'm going to show you is that you kind of need to decide where your dog begins and ends. Otherwise you end up with rather nasty white bits where you don't really want them. So I'm thinking that my Alsatian goes all the way down here. Alsatian, German Shepherd, whichever you want to call it. Oh, and I've just realised I've not got out the grey, but I can do that very quickly. So, and then I came down, yes I am still in camera, I came down here. Now, the more colour you put down, this more solid your colour will be when you've finished moving the pigment around. So if you want it more pastel or less intense, don't put down too much colour. If you want it to really look, you know, like pop out, then you want to put more colour down. And I think for this particular spotlight technique, well, it's a sort of modified spotlight technique, the more pigment the better, because then it's obvious that you're colouring one image and you are deliberately not colouring the others. If you make it too pale, it may look a bit kind of, well, could she just not be bothered to colour the rest? Answer, absolutely, that's why. Because trust me when I tell you, it took quite a while to colour the full version. Just saying. I mean, you are worth it. Don't get me wrong, you are worth it. But it did take quite a long time. I need to do his ears. And this is early espresso, by the way, in case you hadn't realised that I had swapped to early espresso. So I'm using early espresso Calypso Coral, Pecan Pie and Real Red. Now, here's the thing. So we've got new in colours coming in May, one of which is Peach Pie. So we now have Peach Pie, Pecan Pie and Pumpkin Pie. How am I supposed to remember all of those? I mean, seriously. So this is Calypso Coral for his tongue and the inside of his ears, because they tend to be a little bit pinker because they don't have as much fur. His collar is going to be red. And actually I'm going to come back to his collar. I am, however, going to get out, so that I've got them ready, black, which I will need now, and basic grey. It's not smoky slate, it's basic grey. So the black, that's the grey, the black is going to go on his nose, like that. Something's just buzzed at me. Okay, that's fine, it doesn't matter. Right, so colour lifter. Now, because I use the colour lifter for moving watercolour pencils round, I'm going to scribble off before I start, just to make sure it's clean. I would do the same if I was using a blending brush. Blending brushes, by the way, going up in the new catalogue. Blending brush, I don't mean blending brush, I mean the blender pen. The blending brush, the small blending brushes are going up as well, but that's not what I was meaning. So that's the dark, that's the early espresso. If you want to see what is going up and what is going up, I did a blog post a wee while ago that was the retirement lists and what's going up and what's not. Can't guarantee I've caught everything that's going up, but I haven't done too badly, I think. Now, I'm not going to clean this off before I go into the pecan pie, because they are both browns, and frankly, life is too short to worry about cleaning it off between two browns. Remember that the eye is white, she says, having forgotten on the first one, but this we're going to get right because it's the one that really shows. So let me see if this will autofocus. Ish. So this is where I've blended and this is where I haven't. This is just to show you the difference between the end result. The autofocus is interesting. It works when you don't want it to, and it doesn't work when you do. Most of the time it's fine because I'm doing everything in one plane, so everything is on my workboard, my work surface. If you move things around a lot, then it can be a bit sick making. If you get seasick, sorry. Am I still in camera? Yes, I am. So just smoothing this out so that it looks more like you've used, well, that you haven't used watercolour pencils. You've used something that is a solid pigment. Now, don't go over, because this is an alcohol pen, it won't pill your card, but if you go over one place too much, the pigment will push into the card, which is what we're trying to avoid. Now, again, I'm not going to clean my nib before going into the tongue and the ears, because I don't mind if that carries over. I do want it clean before I go in with my real red. And I am using the edge of the real red so that it's really red, and then basic grey just there for his tag. So let's do his tag first, and then again I'm going to be lazy and go straight in for the real red. and then I'm going to scribble off because I need to make sure that it's clean for next time I use it. Although I will clean it next time I use it as well. So let's fold that in half. And we have our two simple stamping versions. So we've literally just inked up a stamp. We've used some watercolour pencils and a colour lifter. You can use a blending pen if you would rather. If you're using a blending pen, just be careful not to pill the paper because it will lift. We've got our stamped envelopes. We have got two that are the right way up. Honest Gov, we have just can't find. Oh, there it is. So we have our stamped envelopes, which are the right way up, as opposed to the one that isn't. So, what did I do next? Well, I did these kind of in tandem, so I don't know which way to show them to you. So I'm going to show them to you at the same time. So these are the two that I've made stepping up. This is really the spotlight technique because you pick out one area and you highlight that. And I've used the decal edged circles. Do we call them decal edged or do we just call them deckled? Deckled, we just call them deckled circles to pull out my Alsatian. And this is where I say used Starry Sky. But hey, so that's one, and I've just popped it up on dimensionals, Tahitian Tide matte, and a Starry Sky base, basic white inside, some Tahitian Tide, that metallic ribbon going, obviously, Tahitian Tide, Starry Sky, Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, and the other one, Orchid Oasis, going at the end of May. The re-inkers for the ink refills for Starry Sky and Tahitian Tide have already sold out in Europe. So if you want any of the retiring in colour items, please get them now. I know the sale doesn't start until the 9th, but if you want them, now is the moment to get them. The other thing to bear in mind, and I will come on to this one in a minute, is that if there's very little or no discount on the last chance list, it's because there's very little stock left. If there's a big discount, there's a lot of stock left, or more stock left. So the smaller the discount, the fewer items are on the shelf. So that just gives you a clue as to what to order before the 9th of April. So for this one, I coloured the whole thing. Now, trust me when I say it does your head in, and I've just noticed the pink tongue that I didn't colour. And I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to use a pencil because I can't face it. There we are. Because you don't really want two dogs that are exactly the same colour next to each other, and I have failed a bit, but yeah. So I used some of the skin tones, the naturals blends, Pecan Pie, Pebbled Path, Crumb Cake, Light Calypso Coral, and then colours to pop. And I've tried to do kind of zigzags or triangles with my colours. So, as I say, you decide which is the more stepped up version. This one took longer. This one didn't take very long. So I would say that that's the most involved one. But this one involves more product because you've got dies and die cutting. Whereas these are just cut bits of card. And the sentiment came from Gorgeously Made. Can't remember if that's staying or going. Can't remember. I'll put it in the post that goes with this. But yeah, that's where that came from. So there you are. Those are my 3 projects for the day. Simple. It's just easy stamping and watercolour pencil. The one that doesn't involve die cutting and the one that does. And I think I'll just leave it at that as far as which is the more complicated to make. So I think I'd do them that way, 1, 2, 3. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I have to say, I had a blast. Probably for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching today. There is a blog post that goes with this, which will have photos, etc., and a shopping list and all that good stuff. That will be linked below. The shopping list will be linked below anyway. So do go and have a look at that. If you've enjoyed it, a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you're new to my channel, please, please, please subscribe. That would be lovely. And you can hit the alert bell so that you know when I've posted. I do go live once a week on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock. We did scrapbooking last week. We may do more scrapbooking. Well, we are going to do more scrapbooking. It's just whether we're doing it this week or next week. Or indeed next week or the week after. Anyway, I think it's time I went. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will look forward to seeing you again very soon, I hope. But for now, bye-bye.